The first responder peer support side of it, it's providing support, services, connection, just that shared experience.
What are we going to talk about? I don't even know
We're going to talk about Matt and CIT, and here, scoot over a little bit more this way so we can get everybody see your pretty face. Yeah. Okay, everybody ready? All right. Okay, we're back. It's Chief, Cap, and Chap, and we're here again. We're going to do another episode. Today, we have Detective Matt Cotner, who is one of our general investigators, SDPS, and does a lot of extra work with mental health, peer support, crisis intervention teams. We're going to talk about all that. But first of all, we want to thank you guys for following us and watching our podcast. And if you have any show suggestions or emails you just like to send us, send it at chief.cap.chap@gmail.com. Just send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. But enough of that. Let's get into this. So, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you've been here, what you do, and all that stuff.
Well, like a lot of people, I took some hiatuses from here, but I've been in law enforcement for over 21 years now. I've been a detective since 2019, and I do a lot of the financial crimes, missing persons, kind of the stuff that nobody else wants, I think.
Yeah. So crimes, missing persons. So like white collar crimes and financial and those fraud cases that are very difficult to work, where you got to get all this information and
very time consuming.
Subpoena information from banks, financial institutions, and all that stuff. It is very time consuming for sure. They're not very fun to work a lot of times. They can be, depending on what it is, but time consuming for sure. But
right.
How long you been in Detective Division?
Since 2019, so about 6 years, I think.
6 years.
Yeah. I'm one of the older guys up there now.
Well, I know you spent time in Detective Division yourself, and I have too. So we got that in common.
But yeah, and I know what it's like to get those things that nobody else wants to do either. So
yeah, yeah, for sure. That's kind of the funny story, because Broom came up there after I did, and I was trying to get the sergeant. I said, "Hey, these child abuse, child sex cases and stuff. What do we give them to the new guy and let him work those? So
don't you love that?
I do.
He needs that experience.
That torch gets passed every time.
Yeah. So, how do we start this? I don't know really how to start it. So,
what brought you to law enforcement, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. What brought you to law enforcement?
Man, I think probably the same thing as most people. I wanted to help people, I think. That's kind of the general reason I think everybody gets into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it just turned into kind of getting addicted to it and loving the job.
It wasn't because you watched Cops on TV as a young child?
I don't think I watched Cops until I became a cop.
Did you watch Barney Miller?
He doesn't know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
was
who
on a
that is.
previous
Jason?
show.
I know who Barney Miller is. He's on MeTV still.
Yeah.
That's a little too much. A little too old.
That's probably late 70s or something like that,
You guys should dress like that one day. Just like have Barney Miller Day at DPS.
We had a 70s Christmas party, 70s theme, and I got a picture in there with Andy Caton. I don't know if you ever seen it. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Oh, it looked pretty
I've always
good.
wondered what that was all about.
Yeah.
Kind of an odd picture.
You were like, how long have you been working
Barney.
here? Yeah.
I have to Google Barney Miller later to see what this is
I'll
all
have to get
about.
Josh that picture so he can superimpose it on the video, because it's a hoot. It was a great party.
You just thought it was an awkward picture?
Yeah. We used to do
between
that.
those two, I mean, anything's possible.
We used to do that at Christmas parties, man. We would have theme parties and stuff like that. It was a big time. It was fun, for sure.
Speaking of Christmas parties, I just happened to be clearing out some file cabinet drawers and found the Christmas tape from 2001, which has got an interesting skit with Chief and Caden and a couple other guys. So
yeah, Jimmy Tiger was in that.
Oh, boy.
There's a bunch of people in it, actually. That's even going further back than theme parties. We had Christmas.
Maybe we can splice that into this podcast, too, because it's pretty good.
No, that's probably too old.
No, it's really good.
It's sort of VHS tape.
It definitely
that
brought
tells
the
you
house
anything.
down.
I would
tell
say
you.
so. I bet.
But we would have Christmas parties where we would do skits. And back in that day, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou was a big hit, So and some people probably don't even know what that show's 25 years old or whatever now, which makes me feel real old. But that
Second
was
favorite movie of all time.
Oh, it's great, man. It's funny. But
We're putting it in this video for sure.
we did a skit where patrol. I mean, I guess public safety patrol had their skit. I think fire had a skit. Public Works had a skit. Everybody brought a skit to the table, and they acted it out in front of everybody with the sound system and used the dance song and dance that kind of went to it, props and everything.
Pretty elaborate.
It was a hoot. So if you can imagine that show, and then imagine them. If you remember the show, they're singing it on stage. They have George Clooney.
Yep.
And
The Soggy Bottom Boys.
Soggy Bottom Boys. That's right. And they're singing that out with the beards and everything. We had all that, man. It was a blast.
I got to see that.
I immediately recognized Chief though by his dance moves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're very distinctive.
Yeah, I got a few, Soggy Bottom moves.
He sure does.
So Cotner.
Cotner. I forgot about him. He's here.
My
Matt's here.
repertoire,
So you got into this to help people and started out on the road like everybody else. How long were you on the road before you moved into a different position?
Up until 2019, I did patrol, evidence tech, field training officer, all the usual stuff before you can really move on.
Yeah, and so when you moved into where you're at now, kind of to fast forward to what we're going to talk about today, helping people kind of turned into something maybe not necessarily different, but deeper. So explain everything that you're involved in now with the CIT and peer support and all that stuff. Explain how that goes to help people, not only outside of the department, but within the department as well.
And before you get going, we probably should again explain what CIT is because we always assume people know and not a lot of people do, so.
Yeah, so the CIT stands for Crisis Intervention Team, and it's a statewide initiative, but it's part of a bigger international initiative, but narrowing down to Missouri. It's just, so the state is divided up into different councils, and we have the Boot Hill Area Council. I'm the current chair of that, and I think it's kind of coincidental that I think going backwards in time, you were the previous one, then Chief, you were the one before Captain Broom, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think Danny Ware at some point?
Danny was after me.
Okay, yeah. And then that's who I took it over or inherited it from Danny.
It may have been 2014, I think, when we really started that, so.
So the Crisis Intervention Team, it's just kind of in a nutshell, it allows officers different trainings and knowledge to maybe if the conventional police policies, tactics aren't working and you can kind of move this stuff in, it can allow different options and different avenues for people that we encounter on the street.
So that training, how do the officers get trained for that?
A lot of them sign up for it. A lot of them are told to be there, but I think by the end of it, it really opens their eyes to a lot of stuff they didn't realize before that they can do and that have a longer lasting effect on people.
Yeah, and so this crisis intervention team, which I really didn't know a lot about until I got involved with DPS, but it's not just police officers.
Correct.
Right? It's a multidisciplinary team. So talk about those the other disciplines that are on that team.
So yeah, all the everybody under the first responder umbrella, EMS, firefighters, communications, corrections, and our mental health professionals in the community, we all have that one goal of just kind of getting people in the community where they need to be and the help they need to get. Maybe jail, maybe a sentence in the system isn't necessarily the right fit. Maybe they just need to get through this hump they have in their life, and maybe some counseling or just kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? The intervention. Mm-hmm. The sequential what am I looking for?
Intercept.
Sim
model. Yeah.
Maybe just a little bit different step outside of going to jail or something like that.
I think something really is important to mention there too. A lot of times, especially the older guys or the your typical guy that's that rough cop or just gruff kind of bad mood cop. They think to themselves, well, CIT, we're not holding people accountable. Mm-hmm. People that commit crimes, they need to be locked up. They need to be in jail. And the thing that's important to know is we still hold people accountable. People are still responsible for their actions. But while we're holding them accountable and they are going to jail, they're receiving services or things that can improve their mental health or substance abuse or things like that while they're incarcerated. So they're still being held accountable. Yeah. But while they're there, we're also reaching out to them and trying to get them some services.
Yeah, I think the best way, you try to get people on the right track and address the problem that they're having so they have less interactions with the police and they're better, more productive citizens.
Really, and that's the end game too. Is I always say this thing about our job as police officers is to stop crime, and you can do that in the short term by locking people up and putting them in jail. You stop it short term, but guess what? Nobody goes to jail forever. They get back out, and if they don't, correct whatever behaviors they have, whether it's mental health or substance abuse or whatever, they don't get those issues addressed. Then when they get out, what do? They reoffend. So you still have crime. But if you can stop those things while they're incarcerated and get them some services, and you stop that behavior, and then they get out, long term, we've stopped crime. So
yeah, I think this is a very interesting topic of discussion, especially in our context, because I mean, as long as I've been involved, this has always been a thing. But I remember early on hearing stories about this not always being a thing, and how Chief, you were on the front end of this, and I think you were pretty early in on this as well. So not to take too much off of Matt telling his story, but I think it's interesting in the discussion, what was the process like to introduce this type of caring for people into this atmosphere?
Well, I think you have to go back to how this stuff was handled previously, and a lot of people with mental health issues that were dealing with living with mental health often found themselves at the state mental health hospitals. Of course, the state over time started shutting down some of those hospitals, and we had more people in the community with mental health issues. We were getting more calls, and we kind of come to a point where we got to learn about this ourselves. I mean, we're not mental health professionals by any means, but we can help facilitate that help to those people and do what we were talking about. But the process was that as this was coming alive in the state, they started trying to push this out to departments so that we could start educating our officers about those mental health issues and teaching us about this and the types of services that were available. And here it was kind of it was new. I mean, we're always, police departments are always changing, the cultures are changing, and we're trying to really get that entered into the department, and people just looked at it like, that's not our job. What are we doing that for? And it is our job to help and serve the community. We are not mental health professionals, but there's no reason we can't hook them up with mental health professionals and in the process serve our community and make our community better. And so that's kind of where that went. And it took many years for that really to catch on. Initially, I think it was the free training, which the state knew, hey, officers need training. We can provide free training. We can bring in these instructors, and your officers will get training. And, of course, former chiefs, and stuff like that were really open to that idea. And then eventually we really, as time goes on, you get more and more, and it starts integrating into the department. And people, like Matt says, start catching on like this is actually a good thing, and it's helpful.
Yeah. So Matt, in your role and your involvement with CIT over the last several years, is there anything, without going into too many specifics, but like a story or two that you could share where you went, man, it was a moment like this that CIT was for?
Yeah, just going a little further back, I remember I think I was in the first 40-hour training we had for CIT here back in 15 or 16. And I was young enough then to think, well, what is this? Mm-hmm. This is my job.
Right.
And as I got older and wiser, more experienced, I started paying attention to this stuff and kind of started using the training when appropriate, like Captain Broom says. And there was this one girl that everybody at the department was concerned about. We kept having different incidents with her in town, but we kept doing the right thing, doing the referrals, making sure we stayed on top of that. And eventually she lined out. She had a job, and still to this day, last I've heard, she's doing very well. So that's just one of the times I can think of that it does succeed.
Yeah, and that process to get somebody into services, it's kind of become a well-oiled machine, right? I mean, with the mental health professionals that are on call and the crisis teams and those types of things. What does that look like for somebody when they have an interaction with public safety and it's a CIT situation?
Typically, the way it goes most times is they'll have an encounter. If there's not an arrest or anything, they'll generate a CIT referral form. And I think Captain Broom gets those. He will forward them to Boot Hill Behavioral, to our community behavioral health liaisons, and they will follow up with us or without us, depending on what they need. And they'll get them into services or whatever they deem fit for that.
So we're kind of putting it on their radar. Like, we think there's somebody here that could use your services.
Yeah, really cool. And John, you've been involved with it for several years as well. Talk about those partnerships, because there definitely has to be this integration of being able to work with other professionals that aren't necessarily law enforcement, but there are other professionals that help this. What's that partnership like?
You know, that's really one of the big things other than training. I think CIT is good at, in the sense we have a monthly meeting. And in that meeting, all of the service providers within our 3-county council come together, and they're all in the same room. So and then of course law enforcement officers are there as well, and all the first responder agencies. But everybody's able to put a name with a face. You know, so if I have specifically dealing with somebody that's has a substance abuse issue, I know there are liaisons with Gibson that I can reach out to and have them, you know, contact this person or whatever. So I think it's good about tearing down those silos. You know, a lot of times there are services maybe within a community that officers aren't aware of. And I think CIT really brings all those resources into one room and kind of tears down those silos, which I think is really important.
Yeah, and those conversations are really interesting. I mean, I just think of sitting in the room on the CIT council meeting, and there's, police officers, firefighters, public safety, communications. You have those mental health professionals, the community behavioral health liaisons, the youth behavioral health liaisons. You also have, like, veterans are represented in that. You have the local hospitals that are represented. And it's really great. The recovery centers represented, all in one room. And I think that's something, Matt, and maybe you can speak to this as well. That's something that maybe the general public doesn't necessarily know, that those conversations are happening, but they are so important for the health of a community, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Those conversations happen. And, you know, I think, like Chief McMillan says, the crisis intervention team stuff, it's not a quick turnaround. It's a long-term game a lot of times, but those conversations help. And there are things put into action every day.
And it's a part of a bigger, like the state crisis intervention team. And how many counties did you say, or regions?
Our county has 4. I can't think off the top of my head how many councils there are. But there's several.
30 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
that
like
sounds right.
30, 32, something like that. So all over the state, this is taking place as well. So I think that's really cool. And so what else would you tell the public about the crisis intervention team?
I think they're open to just about anybody. If you're involved in any community agency, first responder, medical office, anything where you deal with the public and you think that the community could be involved, if you want to reply, I think there'll probably be an email address or something later on. You could say you want to be involved in the meetings, and we can send you out meeting times and locations. Yeah,
and they do trainings, and you can become a CIT trained person, and so a really great program. So what do you foresee in the future of CIT?
Just to keep expanding. We've grown a lot. I know when Captain Broom was the council, we had a micro-council addition, which included Stoddard County, to just keep expanding. Yeah, and we offer a lot of trainings nowadays. And one thing I wanted to add when I took over was to get more first responder specific trainings, something for first responders that they can relate to. And we're trying to do that more and more every time.
Cool. Sounds great.
Yeah, I think one of the things was really impactful in those trainings is seeing people. There's a portion of that where people actually come in that have been through that CIT process, the receiving services, and it's a lived experience panel. And when you get an opportunity to hear their story and how law enforcement or behavioral health units, specifically law enforcement, because that's what we do, you know what I mean? And you can tell from listening to their story how much of a difference it's made in their life. That's really impactful. And then you can kind of start piecing together how important this is.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love that idea of it. It's a whole community type of work where it's not just find a criminal, put them in jail,
right,
and rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah,
There's a caring for the individual.
It's the difference, I think, in being proactive in your community or just waiting for the problem to happen and then trying to clean up the mess. So
Yeah. So you're involved in that, and that takes a lot of time, right? I mean, you spend a lot of time with CIT stuff, and I know even things that I'm not aware that you do with CIT. You're doing that and staying busy with that. But in recent years, we've also had the opportunity, as you've kind of pushed forward in this, with a peer support network. Tell us a little bit about that.
Man, there's so much to talk about. So back in 2021, I think.
Well, first explain what peer support is.
The first responder peer support side of it, it's providing support, services, connection, just that shared experience amongst first responders. So when they are going through a mental health struggle, or they're just they need to know kind of which way to guide themselves or their families when they're going through some things, they can have those options available instead of just the old ways of walking it off, sucking it up, and you just never talk about it.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Yep,
That was the theme back in then. The problem with that is, everybody has this problem of retaining officers, good officers, but this job obviously lends to stress, right? Everybody knows that. It's not any secret. And if we're not trying to mitigate that stress, by using these types of programs, we're going to lose officers. We're going to lose good officers, and or their quality of life is not going to be as good. And also, when they're out there working with the community, their service is not going to be as good because they're going to be burdened or more burdened than they would be otherwise. So,
I think what's really important about some of the trainings that the peer support has had too is maybe some of the younger officers that are getting into this profession newly, they kind of get to hear some of the things that they possibly are going to see or experience throughout their career, and then kind of how to deal with some of the emotions that they're going to have with that. So I can't remember exactly what the number is, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. A first responder, a police officer is exposed to, I'm wanting to say 600.
First responders can experience like 600 to 800 critical incidents, very traumatic incidents in their career, where your average person may experience under 10, maybe around 6.
Yeah, so that's that takes a toll on that officer, and not only their officer, but their families and the people and their coworkers around it. So it just kind of gives them some idea of, hey, these are some of the things that you can learn or are going to expect, and then how to deal with them, obviously.
Yeah, and your body's not made to handle all that stuff for 20, 25, 30 years. So if you don't handle it, it's going to come out and handle you at some point, and there's different ways that can look like. And it may not even happen until you retire.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is, and it's in the title of the program, it's peer support. And so when you think of peer-to-peer interaction, you think of an officer with another officer. So one officer helping another officer, one communications person helping another communications person, one person off an EMT or an EMT working with another EMT, etc. That's the peer support that we're talking about. So talk a little bit about, because that doesn't just happen, right? It doesn't just happen where peers are supporting each other and know how to appropriately do that. Talk a little bit about the CISM training. You can explain that a little bit, and what it looks like to become a peer trained individual.
Yeah, so you can get on a team, and eventually you can go through the critical incident stress management training, and it's usually a 3 to 4 day course. And really, it teaches you about empathy. It teaches you how to listen. It teaches you about some prevention methods. But really, I think everybody knows it for the most part. I just don't think a lot of people know how to project it, where you are just there for your peers, and you can relate to them and say, hey, man, I've been there. That sucks. This is what worked for me. This is what worked for a buddy of mine, or I'll just be here with you until we figure this out. It's not therapy. There is that side of it if it gets to that point, but it's really just first responders helping each other out.
Yeah, and it works on like the individual basis where you have peer-to-peer situations, but also then it lends itself, if it needs to go further than just the peer-to-peer interaction, it does open up opportunities for professionals, right?
It does.
So you have like mental health professionals that are involved in that as well. So what are some of the things that people who are a part of the peer support team do?
What do you mean?
Well, you have the peer-to-peer interactions, and then we have debriefings,
Okay.
and those types of things. So share a little bit about those other things that are done besides just the one-on-one stuff.
Kind of like what happens after a critical
Yeah,
incident.
yeah. So there's diffusions. They can happen right after an incident, and it's just kind of will remind people who may be kind of lost for a moment, saying, this is maybe what you're going to experience in the next 24 to 48 hours, and that's normal. That's a common reaction.
Kind of before we send them home that day, because I think that's such an important aspect to this, because I think just taking the time to acknowledge, hey, what happened today was a bad thing, and we got to at least stop for a moment and just recognize this is not normal, and we all got to try to deal with that, as opposed, like I said, just to not talk about it and send that person home, and then they're just wondering what the hell just happened today, so.
Yeah. And then, that can move into a critical incident stress debriefing, which is typically a group setting with people that were on scene, and you kind of go around the room and you talk about what you experienced, what you felt, what you thought, and you just kind of normalize all that and give them some tips and advice, and you're just there to check in on them, and what this person says over here would help this person over here if they were missing that connection right there, and it's just support.
Yeah, because you go into these calls sometimes, and obviously lots of officers, employees are working on them, and your perspective of that is one thing, but you may be upset that a certain thing maybe didn't happen. Well, maybe Captain Broom can say, hey, actually that did happen. I took care of that, so you don't need to be worrying about that. We tried to intervene in that manner or whatever, just so that knowledge can help the other person a little bit, so.
And I think about the debriefs, just the talking, I think that's the most important thing, because in our professions and all first responders, and I think a lot of times just anybody, talking to people is hard. We talk for a living, but it's a lot of times we don't know how to talk to each other.
Right. That's why the diffusions are so important, because otherwise we wouldn't talk about it at all. And as soon as that's over, before we send them home, we're already talking about it as a group. So we're, without saying so, we're acknowledging, hey, it's okay for us to talk about it. And it's okay for us to feel a certain way about it, because it's not normal.
Right.
Yeah. Talking is one of the biggest things you can do.
Yeah.
To help you or anybody out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think about, there is a reality to what you guys do on a day-to-day basis, and the dangers involved and the stress that comes with that. And I mean, we can be real honest. I mean, the last, we could really say the last month, but really the last 3-4 years, here specifically in this department.
It's 6, but go ahead.
6 years. You would know.
You got promoted, then I got promoted, and then it just kind of
then it went, off the rails.
Right.
But as I've been thinking a lot about that over the last month, and we lost Officer Franklin just a little less than a month ago,
right?
And that obviously has hit the department hard, made it very difficult. People are dealing with these emotions, but you go back to incidents even before that, and I think I can't imagine what it would be like to be going through all of what has happened in 6 years without these two programs, specifically the peer support program that's been in place. So just to talk a little bit about how that's come into play over the last couple of years, the way that works here specifically is when there is an incident, when we do have a situation, the peer support network immediately, or the peer support team immediately goes into action and starts doing what they've been trained to do, right? Caring for officers, caring for each other, caring for family members of those that are involved, making sure that people are taken care of, and finding resources. So talk a little bit about how, when an incident happens, what does that process look like?
Well, usually, somebody will start texting me, or I'll start texting other people, or start making calls, and we'll start figuring out what happened. What's the best action to take now? What type of incident it was? Who needs to be involved? How big the incident is? And we'll start arranging different meetings, different settings. If we want to do a diffusion, debriefing, one-on-one, go come to headquarters, whatever we need to do, and we just start making the plans.
Yeah, and it works out really nice when I think about those situations that have happened. And a part of this too is there are people from other departments that are trained in this. So it's not just Sykes and DPS trained officers that are being peers with each other.
Right.
Because in a situation like what was experienced in the last month, to say it quite frankly, we were no good for each other.
That's right.
Yeah, we were too
we
close.
needed
That's right.
people who were further away from it per se that could come in and help. So talk about the other people that are not a part of DPS, but the other peer support teams that work together.
Yeah, ever since our Boot Heel peer support team started back in 2021, we've had a really good relationship with the Ohio Patrol's defense team, which is their peer support network. And that's just been continuing to grow over the last several years until where we are now. And it seems just about on a regular basis, we're talking to each other, they're talking to us, asking for help from us, and we're asking help from them. And we have a lot of people all over the Southeast Missouri area. They have a lot of people all over the state. They can just provide so much more variety and resources for us.
You know, one thing that comes to mind is there was I think it was Oregon County? It was a county.
Oregon County.
Yeah, that was a scenario where they had an incident that involved a large portion of their department that were peer support trained and familiar with that just as we are. And they actually reached out to us, and we went to that county and did that debrief and everything for them. So,
and they still do. We were there probably 2 months ago. Yeah. So those connections are still there.
Yeah, and so that and they're trained. And the cool thing is, and some of those connections were made at the training that we went to. Right, there were people from Oregon County that we trained with for this peer support team. We all exchanged numbers, and then when incidents happened, they're like, "Hey, we know people over in Sykeston that have this training. Let's call them in," and vice versa. We could do that as well. So, and I think it's really cool to see. At least I think it's been a cool thing to see other agencies locally that don't have people on the peer support team, but they've heard of how that peer support has helped in situations, and they will call and ask us to come and do a debrief or a diffusion. It's really interesting. So,
yeah, and to add to that, we just don't. We're a small town, and we haven't experienced, thankfully, some of this. Like when we lost Officer Franklin, we've never had that happen before. An on-duty, line-of-duty death. And you can bring people in from other agencies who have experienced that, you know, and those peer support team members from other agencies that have went through that. And so they're speaking to that from a position of experience and understanding, and can help walk us through that deal, make it easier, or at least to where we can get to where we can kind of cope with it, so.
Yeah, and I think in specific instances where they also have spouses of officers that have been involved in those incidents, and they can bring them in as well, because, let's face it, we're at times not real good at knowing what our spouse is feeling or thinking in a situation like this, but this spouse would know, and they would be able to come and have that conversation where we may not even, recognize that. So it is a huge resource for the health of the officers and everybody that's involved in those situations. Now, just recently, there's been some changes with the peer support locally. So talk about that and the connections that have, or the things that have changed.
Yeah, like I said, we started in 21 with our local or our 4-county regional team, and we just kept growing and growing and being asked to go so far away. We started working with the Ohio Patrol's team, and eventually that led to the big word connections again throughout the state. And so under the state crisis intervention team and the first responder provider network that was born out of CIT, the critical incident support network was made, which is a statewide, I call it like a net. It's not looking to take away from any peer support teams, but we want to make sure we will be helping the teams and provide coverage for places that don't have peer support. But anyway, our team was absorbed into that, and we were the first pilot team to go live a few months ago. And ever since then, our team has grown. We have 11 counties that we incorporate now. It's basically from Cape to Arkansas, and then the river over to like Ripley, Carter, Reynolds County, kind of where we started at. and it's a big deal. We have people calling us all the time, and yeah, we're busy.
Another part of that I think that you could talk about is the post-critical incident seminar that Highway Patrol defense team has every year. Kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that is. I can't talk too much about it. But
but the first rule of that is you can't talk about it.
Yeah, it's like Fight Club. Yeah, but just for any first responders or their families out there, know if you ever get a chance to go. Out of the 21 years, I go as a peer now to help, but when I went as a participant, because I needed to go, that was by far the best training seminar, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever been to. It is there for us, and you get a lot out of it. And you can take your spouse, supporting partner, whatever you want to call it. Everything's paid for. You just got to get there.
Wow. So in your two roles as a chief and captain, what changes have you seen in the department as these programs have been implemented with your officers and their lives?
Well, I'm going to bounce a question off of that. So, Broom, you've been here a long time. Have you noticed an increase in mental health costs?
The answer to that is yes, for sure.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, a couple of reasons, but probably one, the biggest is officers are trained now to recognize them. And so I think that's probably the biggest one for sure.
Yeah. And, we see this today. 15 years ago, you had that stuff, but now you can drive down the road and see people that are having these co-occurring drug abuse, mental health disorders that are very out in the public. And we're trying to get them the assistance that they need, and the access to fentanyl, mental health, and methamphetamine, and mental health, and stuff like that. Man, it is just all over the place. And I do think the officers are trained and they can recognize that, and so the need for that has grown dramatically in the last 10, 15 years. I think just from the access to methamphetamine and the drugs like that. So they contribute to that quite a bit.
Yeah, that's probably one of the bigger things I think is different now than 10, 15 years ago is just the availability of methamphetamine right now.
And what people need to understand about that is a lot of times people, it's not like they're fine. They take methamphetamine and then they have mental health crisis. Although that can happen. A lot of times people are trying to self-medicate, with those issues that they are living with, and they turn to drugs and stuff like that. So. Excuse me.
Yeah. Speaking of methamphetamine is 15, 20 years ago, if you stopped a guy and they had just a quarter gram or a half a gram on them, couple grams, that was a lot of meth. But now, a guy might have an ounce on him,
It's cheaper.
Oh yeah. It's, used to, it was $100 a gram. I think now it's about $25 a gram. So that gives you an idea, how much more plentiful it is out there on the streets for sure.
Yeah. So what was your question?
So when you have these programs like peer support, that are definitely in place to help your employees, how have you seen those benefit the day-to-day operations in DPS?
Well, that's a good question. I think some of that stuff's hard to measure too. But I do like the fact that we're taking time and getting educated and just interacting with officers who go through these day-to-day struggles and these hard calls, and we're trying to guide and coach them after the fact to try to mitigate and prevent, hopefully, these negative coping mechanisms that can happen, and try to instill and support the positive coping mechanisms where officers aren't just going home, turning to alcohol, or maybe they're not just taking good care of themselves, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, or just getting counseling when they need counseling, and just different things like that. That's the stuff that we should be looking at for sure, just like I said before, so we can keep and maintain good quality officers, because this job that stuff is never going to go away. As much as we train on it and try to mitigate it in our community, is always going to be there. These high stress calls will always be there as long as people are the way they are, and that's just when you live. I mean, that's just the way people are in any kind of community, and police officers are trained to deal with those problems that come with that, and so it's stressful from a police officer's perspective. We're never going to get away from that stress, so we got to learn how to manage it. And as much as we try to manage it and be sympathetic to how it can cause stress, we still have to show up and perform. We still got to do that. And I think that's what makes law enforcement, so special, if I can say that. And when I hear that from the community, I think that they realize that we're dealing with some very difficult challenges. And but as a leader and as the chief here, I want to try to do everything I can to help these officers get through those situations so they can have good careers here.
What about you, John, with your interaction with the guys and the girls? How have you seen these programs help?
I think, it reassures them that they work at a department that does care about their mental health, through the trainings that we go to as far as how to cope with some traumatic events that they may experience. And then kind of gives them a leg up on some of the feelings or emotions that they're going to have after they have a tragic event or a post-critical incident or what have you. So I feel like it maybe better equips them mentally for kind of what they're going to be exposed to and what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, not to let cat out of the bag or anything like that or divulge any information that's shouldn't be divulged. But I mean, even in my interaction, I find it interesting, and I bet we've all experienced this because we've been a part of a debriefing or a diffusion or at some level. I always find it interesting that it seems to allow those officers to let their guard down for a minute, where at the end they go, I didn't realize that I needed that, but now I will never go through another incident where I won't be asking to have this after that incident.
Right.
They have this bond that they create among each other. Mm-hmm. They have let the walls down, and they're able to communicate where before it was just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, suck it up, go on and not deal with it. Now they're given this safe place to deal with it, and it actually builds them up in a way that I think is pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah, I think it's, because you go through this stuff and these calls that we go on, I mean, whether they're homicides or infant deaths or what have you. I mean, there's a litany of those for sure. But I think it's saying it's okay for you to feel the way you're feeling. It's very normal for you to feel that way in this abnormal situation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times if you don't, without that training, you're wondering, what's wrong with me? Why can't I deal with this? And there's something in me that's broken or I can't really. And, of course, what we try to say is, hey, it's all right to feel that way. I mean, you're going to feel that way likely, so.
Yeah, and I think that's good because what I think about is like that next call. Like when the bell sounds or the tones go off the next time and there's a call that is similar to the previous critical incident, mm-hmm. What's going to go through the mind of you guys, of those that are getting those tones and are going to that call? What the past experience is going to impact that if it's not dealt with, and it's still going to at some level.
Right. Yeah.
But there is this. I think the term I would use is safety net, knowing, okay, we're going to go through whatever this hell is we're about to go through, but at the end of the day, we're going to have a chance to, okay, let's take a breath. Let's walk through and work through what happened. Let's deal with the things that come as a result of what we dealt with, and it's going to be a safe place, and you're better for it. Yeah,
and what you said there, sometimes literally taking a breath, because if you have that anxiety about that typical, or not typical, but that unusual call, and it's repeating, that anxiety is probably going to be worse. And part of this training is breathing exercises. You're feeling your heart rate go up. You're feeling that anxiety come up. And you can remember from the training what you do the battle breathing, taking deep breaths, hold it, let it out, hold it, and all that stuff. So you can try to calm yourself in that excitable emergency situation.
Yeah, I just think it's a great program. I'm thankful for your leadership in this. I'm thankful for you guys as you were on the front end of CIT and how you've allowed the CIT to grow how you've taken this peer support thing and with Michelle kind of push this forward. And I think it's a great program. And my hope is that you never, ever take another break from this department to go do something else and then come back. We don't need that
I don't
space.
see one coming this time.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, what else is going on upstairs in Detective Division? What are you working on?
I'm doing some backgrounds right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's my big thing
We
right
do got
now.
a lot of backgrounds going on. We got a
Testing on Saturday, right?
testing on Saturday.
Yeah.
This may be airing after that, probably after that, but we do have some testing coming up.
Yeah.
We're still hiring people.
I saw 16. I think 16 people are testing, which is a good number.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
I think an improvement over what we've had in the last few testings.
Yeah,
for sure.
we got, I don't know, at least 4 positions we can add, maybe a little bit more than that, just depending on military positions and stuff. So that's good that we got that coming for sure. I'm excited about
You
that.
taught any of the academy classes? You talk anything about? You haven't done any academy classes?
No, I don't have anything to do with this one.
We had a talk there. I taught a class last week, and we kind of talked a lot about what they can kind of expect throughout their career, and just really trying to mentally prepare them for this profession, and kind of asking them some hard questions about, are you mentally prepared for some of the things that you're going to experience, and you really need to have that conversation with you today or tonight, and really reconsider what you're doing here, because these are some of the things that you're going to deal with, and they seem to all respond well to that. So that was good. So
I'm looking forward to next year because they're going to graduate in February, and then we're going to get them trained few at a time, I'm sure, because there's 11 of them in the academy. So
something interesting we did last week, or Captain Haskins did last week, is he put some of the recruits with the officers. So if you're in the community and you happen to see a gentleman that's maybe dressed in a fire division uniform, asking you some questions, they are doing some hands-on report writing, and
that is next
obtaining-
year's police officer.
Yeah, that is. You're getting a guy that's not even a rookie. I mean, he's still a. So if you see a guy that's dressed in a fire division uniform with a uniformed officer, that's those guys are in the academy.
That's the benefit of having our own academy, is like we're already getting them some experience. We're doing it safely, of course, because they don't have all their training yet, but we're coaching them up already. So that's really good.
Yeah, they went on just your calls that weren't really associated with any sort of like aggressive behavior or anything, just kind of getting information for, different types of incidents that was reported that day. So I thought it went pretty good.
Y'all been watching the World Series at all?
Yeah, a little bit here and there.
Yes.
So who are you for?
I mean, I really can't stand the Dodgers. So
Oh, really?
yeah. And Toronto is always, I actually thought I was going to live in Toronto for a while. So
Yeah.
Toronto's always kind of been my American League East team. So
Yeah, they're taking it pretty serious.
I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah.
Now, whenever this comes on, I may be disappointed, but right now we're up 3-2, going back to Toronto for Game 6. Feeling pretty good about it.
Now, RIT supervisor Sam Villagrana is going to be disappointed that you said that, because he loves the Dodgers.
Sorry, Sam. Don't send me any more trainings, please.
Yeah,
I just caught up yesterday.
You're fixing to get so many phishing emails.
Fishing training.
You gotta do those too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves the
Yeah.
Dodgers.
Ugh.
Yeah. Chiefs are doing pretty good. I've been watching them a little bit.
But
Yeah. I like
Bears.
You got to like the Chiefs.
I like the Bears.
I'm going to a Blues game next weekend.
Are you really? That's always
I
a
haven't
good
been in
time.
a long time, but the tickets came down just a little bit, so I can
I've never
afford
been
go now.
to a Blues game. I'd
You
love to
gotta
go.
go.
Everybody says that. Nobody ever invites me, so.
It's a good time.
I can't buy your ticket, but you're invited.
Well, thanks, Matt.
I've only went to one professional hockey game, and it was a Blues game, and it was the most. And I'm a sports guy, but it was the most odd thing in the world. Okay, so there's 3 quarters.
That's not
periods.
3 periods.
Yeah.
So there's 3 periods. To me, there should either be
that's
like a
mathematically
first half and a
incorrect,
second
but go
half, or
ahead.
4 quarters. I don't know. The game never stops. They don't take timeouts. The guys come in and off I couldn't follow the puck, and then to me, I was like, what is this? I mean, like, what is going on here? The crowd, I feel like if you took like a WWE or a professional wrestling crowd and you mixed it in with like a football crowd and a blender, that's a hockey
That's
crowd.
pretty accurate. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate.
It was pretty good. I think of course, I'm a cheapskate, so I got the nosebleed seats. I think if you got down low and you could actually see the puck, that it might be a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so we got Halloween tomorrow night, which will already be past after we air this. But what's coming up after that's Thanksgiving. Are y'all cooking your turkey this year?
Always. I'm the turkey guy.
Are you?
Yep. Get up early on Thanksgiving morning, and that's what I spend my
You
morning
don't
doing.
deep fry it in the.
No, I don't fry it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want you guys to come visit my house.
Yeah. Make sure it's thawed out.
Yes, I just put it in the oven for 4 hours.
Don't
So,
do it in your garage. You know.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's coming up. We do it all at our house. All of our family comes to our house, and we host, so it's always a house full.
Oh, you made me think of something. Shop with a hero or shop with a cop.
That's coming up. Exciting time.
I think there. I saw Trish getting some donation boxes out. So if you see those in the community, make sure you stick a couple
and
bucks
we
in there.
really need those donations this year. We got some people that have funded us in the past or kind of pushing money to other organizations in the community, which I understand. But we need those donations bad because these kids they're in need, and it's always a good experience for us to get out there and have fun shopping with them. So it's good for them.
It makes your heart feel good too when you go out there and participate in that event.
Yeah, I can remember the first time I did that. I was like, "What are we getting into here?" You know, and it's a good time. It can be a little bit overstimulating. You imagine giving a kid a couple $100 and say go buy what you want, and then you're trying to keep up with them. That's a little much.
And the math. That's the worst part of the
the
day is
math,
doing the math.
I can never get that right. I do
Well,
good for
the
about the first
problem-
5 minutes, and then
It's like they start putting stuff in there, and you're trying to keep up, and then they like, well, I don't want that. Let's put some more stuff in. It's like, well, just hang on a second. It's always hard. That's a tough time. And then Christmas is going to be after that, man. This year is flying by.
So here's what we have to do for Chief Cap and Chap is we have to make sure, because it's about to get real busy with all this happening. We're not gonna leave you hanging for another 3 months. We'll be back soon with
Absolutely.
shows.
Yeah, we're going to get back on track here and try to catch up. And
Maybe we just have an episode where we're just sitting here eating Thanksgiving dinner, not even talking, just.
I don't know.
No. Okay.
Well, I guess that's it for this week. Appreciate you guys following us. And I'm about to cough here. Excuse me. It's bad timing. But thanks for watching us. And again, if you want to email us at chief.cap.chap@gmail.com. And like Cotner said, email us if you want to try to volunteer, if you're with a community organization and you think you can help us out in that CIT and be part of that organization, and we'd love to have you there. It's good to have, and it helps our community work together for a lot of ways. But
if you want to give any donations for Shop with the Hero,
How do they do that?
come
Tell
to
them how they do that.
DPS. Just come to DPS or even email, and we'll make arrangements to.
Yeah, and they're putting, I don't know where all they're putting those boxes, but they're out in maybe some convenience stores, maybe in and around town, and you might see a little black box on the checkout counter that has our DPS patch on it, and it says Shop with a Hero at the top, and you can just put money in that.
Or come to headquarters and ask for Chief Secretary Trish. And
come to headquarters. That's the best way you know the money's going to get here. We will certainly take that, and we will greatly appreciate that. And that money, we get none of that. It goes all to the kids in that program. Any money left over goes in the safe, and we use it for next year.
Yep.
But that is all we got for this time. But Matt, you should always remember.
We learned this at peer support training, by the way.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Yeah, take the high road.
Always take the high road.
I hope we get to tell about the high road someday.
Yeah.